Welcome back, everybody. Captain Cody Davis here with you guys again for another one here at the desk. And this is actually going to be a take two because I recorded this same video like 2 weeks ago. But for some reason, I tried to upload it 3 or 4 dozen different times and YouTube just won't accept it. Something went wrong. So I thought there was some stuff you guys might enjoy to listen to. So we're going to reshoot it here again. And what we're going to be talking about in today's video are some very common misconceptions or maybe some wrong ideas people have about the technique that is, you guessed it, flipping. I know I do a lot of content here on the channel directed towards flipping and pitching, but it's what I like to do. It's what I love to do. It's the technique that I, without a doubt, by far, that I get asked the most questions about, and I have the most requests on my boat to go do in terms of learning the technique. I have a lot of people that want to go catch them on a frog, but they have like a question or two and they're throwing the frog. But I have a lot of people that specifically ask, can I book you for a day to teach me the ins and outs of flipping and pitching, whether it's punching mats, whether it's flipping reeds, whether it's flipping Kissimmee grass, whatever it might be, and I'm happy to do so. So this video is kind of directed towards you guys, anyone who's maybe just looking to start trying to catch some fish flipping, maybe move to a body of water where that's a very dominant technique, or maybe you're just looking for some more confidence in the technique, or maybe you're just looking for a tip or two. Either way, if you're into flipping, this is something you might want to listen to. So over the course of the last 7 or 8 years of running these trips, there's a lot of times where I'll mention something to somebody, not necessarily on something they're doing wrong, but I'll just point something out and it'll be I never thought that. I thought this. And sometimes that I thought this will run true and be the same thing that the previous 8 customers thought. And again, these are just some of the common mistakes. I don't want to call them mistakes, but just wrong opinions, wrong ideas, or like I said, misconceptions people have about the technique as a whole. So I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys about them and maybe you guys will pick something up from it. So I don't know who's watching this video, but if you just happen to be clicking on this and you live in Arkansas or you live in Idaho, wherever, some of the best places to flip are areas or bodies of water where nobody flips and there's really not much to flip. I know I spend 99% of my time on Okeechobee, but the little bit I have traveled, right, and I have looked or I've fished private ponds and things, a lot of times I've fished them where there is no grass for the most part. I say there is none, but there's just very little amounts of it. Or maybe there's just not much on the bank. Maybe there's not much grass out deep. And obviously me, I'm always seeking out that bite. But sometimes I come across a body of water that it's not necessarily a place where you can go do it all day. But if you can find those handful of, maybe there's just one little clump of bank grass off the bank. Maybe there's one laydown. Maybe there's a pipe sticking out of the water. Flipping to that stuff can be, if there's 8 things to flip to on the whole entire lakes, a lot of times you're going to get 8 bites, one off of each of every one of those pieces of structure. So sometimes where flipping's not dominant is the best places to go flip. Now, the reason I say that is if you're living in a place where you don't have thick grass, really heavy cover, you can get by with a 7.4 or a 7.6 medium heavy flipping rod as opposed to that 7.6, 7.11 heavy. And you don't have to flip 65-pound braid. Some of the best flippers in the world come from river systems and stuff where they're flipping 17-pound fluorocarbon in a jig. You look at what like Matt Herron and Randall Tharp did on Bull Shoals Lake. I forget what year that was in the Elite Series, but flipping is a very vague term, all right? So a lot of people think heavy braid, thick grass, pulling them out of the mats, but that's not necessarily true. So if you're watching all these reviews on different flipping rods and reels and setups and what people do, and they're all using 65-pound braid and all that, but you don't have the terrain where that is needed, don't make that mistake, because if your water's too clean, you're not going to get the bites because of the braid. If you're flipping around rock, you don't want to use braid. Wood especially, flipping around wood with braid is a no-no. So just little things like that. Just use what your body of water calls for. For me, down here, it's 99% of the time, it's 65-pound braid, but I do flip 20-pound fluorocarbon a lot. One of the first thing that I've noticed customers do when they're new to flipping on the front deck of my boat is usually their first, second, or third flip to the reeds or in the grass. They make a comment to me about how loud their presentation is when their bait hits the water. I mean, it's literally within the third flip. Like, see, that's what I mean. I don't know what I'm doing. That is 100% straight across the board. If I get someone that wants to learn how to flip better, that comes out of their mouth every single time. And what's crazy to me is that's not a big deal. But what's even crazier to me is pretty much every one of those people that do that, they, in their mind, truly believe that that's why they're not catching fish flipping, is because their bait hits loud. And then they all tell me, yeah, I do it, and I do it for 10 minutes, and I get so frustrated that I'm making a splash that I just put the rod down and pick my Senko back up. Do not let that bother you. Yes, there are times where making that quiet presentation in the water, nice and streamlined, it does get you an extra bite or two. It looks good. It looks sexy on film. It looks sexy to you as an angler when you lay it in there perfect and halfway down that line jumps and there's not even a ripple. That's all great. But when it comes down to it, the fish really don't give a damn. They don't care. But I think a lot of times it helps. You know, that people get so frustrated with that. But what are the bluegill doing? When we're flipping, you know, the outside edge of Lake Okeechobee, I'm listening for those bluegill popping. I'm listening for things striking. That's all that's imitating when that bait hits the water, that splash. Now, if you're flipping for spawners and higher pressured areas on a cold front in 1.5 foot of water, I can see that. But don't let that be a deal breaker. The only way that improves is time on the water and practice and repetitiveness. And then along with that, the next best thing that people will say is the next, like I would say, mistake I see people making is once the bait is in the water, everyone wants to hold their line tight and feel it to the bottom because they're trying to feel that bite. They say, I think I'm getting bit, but I don't know. You're going to know. The worst thing you can do is try to feel that bite. Because a lot of times if you're that trigger happy and you're that ready on the trigger, when you get the bite, you're going to snatch it away from the fish anyway. But B, there's about an 80% chance you're never going to get the bite because the whole presentation to me that is flipping and pitching is that weight or the head of that jig pulling that skirt and or plastic down and that free fall. That's it. That is the deal. So by you holding that line tighter than you should and almost lowering the bait down, you have a fish sitting in a piece of structure and just here comes this bait. And they're getting a good look at it. Sometimes they might hit it. Sometimes they might not. If they do, they're going to feel tension. They're going to feel resistance. There's just nothing there. But if you lay that in there and you throw that slack in that line and that 3/4 ounce weight or that 1 ounce jig head just falls like a rock right by their head, you're getting that reaction bite. You're getting that reaction bite. It surprises the fish. They're not getting a good look at the bait at all. That's what you want. The best case scenario is you never feel the bite. You flip, when you reel down and you lift, he's sitting on it. And that's when you're going to set the hook. You don't need to feel the bite. You don't need to. A lot of people think they slam it. They're waiting for this big thump. Every once in a while, you'll feel that. If you're fishing in 8-9 feet of water, 20 feet of water, flipping grass, and as it's free falling, you'll feel the line jump and go slack. It's a great feeling. 89 times out of 95 bites, you're going to flip, not feel anything, lift. It's just going to be heavy, and that's when you set the hook. Multiple good things happen there. You didn't feel the bite, which means that fish did not feel any resistance at all, right? So he's got the bait down in his gullet where you want it, and you didn't feel the bite, so you didn't pull it away from the fish. The fish is probably already starting his way in a certain direction. So when you lift, your line's already moving, you just lay into him. So don't try to feel the bite. You'll know. If it feels heavy, you set the hook. You know, with that, if you don't get a bite, I see a lot of people leaving their bait in the reeds for a long time and just shaking it. I'm using the pen as my Senko sticks here. Hopping it, reel it, drop it back down. Don't do that. Again, the whole presentation, the whole cast, the you fishing the bait is really you not doing anything. It's that fall. So typically for me, it's a flip, free fall. Hop it if he's not there. Hop it one time, let it fall, check it, not there, reel it in, right back to the next spot. And as I'm bringing it back to the boat, I'm already looking for that next thing. So I very rarely catch them actually working the bait. Now, if it's a severe cold front condition and I'm pumping a bait in a mat, that's a little bit different. Or if we're fishing for spawning fish, flipping a bait to a piece of cover and more shaking it, leaving it there. But then that's more you trying to piss a fish off. Whereas when you're pitching, it's either A, you're taking a fish by surprise, or B, that fish is sitting ready to ambush right where you put that bait. So don't spend too much time working the bait, especially if you're new to this. You got to get bites to get confidence. You're going to get more of your bites just on that initial drop. And then talking about bites, everyone says like, man, I know we're going to be into it. We'll be idling out to go for a flipping day. And it's like, man, I told myself we're going to get 5 bites today. You need to get that out of your head as well. There are times coming up here late summer where there's areas where we might fish. We know we're going to get 8 bites all day. But that's not always the case. I think most of my highest number days, aside from finding a mega school on a rattle trap, out here on Okeechobee, where I've had those triple digit days, have come flipping, more than I can count. Once you get dialed in to whether a stretch, a pattern, maybe they're on boat lane corners, maybe they're on points of reeds, maybe you're just in an area of grass that's loaded with them. Once you dial it in, the sky's the limit. But you're not, I think that was like a big fish mentality thing with flipping. Everyone just thought, I just got to put it in my head, we're not going to get a lot of bites. But don't do that to yourself. It's possible to go out there and catch 100 doing it. Then pay attention to little details, and you can run with it all across your body of water, whether it's Okeechobee or wherever, whether it's a pattern. Or if you're getting bit, if you find a group of fish in an area, you can wail on them. And yeah, you might catch 35 pounds, but maybe only 8 of your 70 fish were big. Little ones get caught doing this too. We catch way more little ones than we do big ones. These are all I feel like these are things that intrude on people mentally that handicap them when it comes to really trying to pick this thing up and get familiar with it. Use a bait here. Well, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. The bait really doesn't make hella beans difference 99% of the time. You got a crawl and you got a beaver. And every company in the fishing industry makes both. And to a bass, they all look the same. Pick a color that you like. Pick a color that gets bit on your body of water, whether it's watermelon, whether it's black and blue, red shad, whatever. And then here's the key, find a hook you like, all right? You want to find a flipping hook that you have confidence in, you like, and that fits the bait that you like to fish the best. You want it to fit your bait, look streamlined, and pick a flipping bait that you have confidence in. Maybe this one has a few more appendages. Maybe this one's smaller, so you feel like you're more prone to get bites. Flip something you have confidence in. They're not going to get that good of a look at the bait anyway. It's that profile and that fast fall that's going to get you the bites. There's a lot of giant bags weighed in on this lake every year flipping a Senko. Flip your confidence deal and just go do it. I tell everybody, pick a day where you rig up 2 flipping rods and you bring, 3 bags of baits, and that's what you go do for the day. You're going to get confidence in it. And what also is cool about it is as you get more accurate, as you start picking things apart, you feel fluent with the technique itself, you're already going to gain confidence that way. Get a bite or 2, your confidence climbs very quickly. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that helps some of you guys out. again, it's all mental. It's all up here, but don't overthink all this stuff I just told you. Like, hopefully this stuff helps you out. Get that mental block out, and maybe this will help you guys. It's an awesome technique, especially down here in Florida. You kind of got to know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it and you don't ever do it, you're leaving a lot of money on the table as a tournament angler, because it's a technique. You can go get that 1 8-pounder out of them reeds, and it helps so much. But B, more importantly, you're missing out on a lot of fun. It's the best way to catch a bass, if you were to ask me. So that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully this helps you guys out. If you guys like these little videos, tip videos, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments as well. If you want to book a trip, things are changing. I have been kind of on a hiatus. This is our slowest month as a guide. All of us guides are pretty slow right now on the lake. Starting to get a lot of bookings for, fall and winter and even next spring. But things are fixing to start changing. I got to get back out there and really just put time in on the lake. We got tournaments coming up. The water's coming up. The conditions are changing. So we're going to get back after it. I'll be doing some more fishing videos here very soon. But appreciate you guys watching. And if you want to book a trip, let me know. My contact information is in the description. And I appreciate each and every one of you that follow the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.